The next plane off the pile is an old Chaplins. It's a number 208. Not a bad looking old plane. So we're going to clean this one up, give it a test drive, and get it ready to sell on eBay. Let's break it down. Got the old plane broken down. I've done a few of these Chaplins over the years, and this is the first one I've found that is set up like this. The lateral adjustment and the depth adjustment is different than the other ones I've worked on. The attachment for the rear tote is definitely an odd one, and the front knob's a little bit different than the other ones I've worked on. This is the other one. You see the difference in how the tote is mounted. The totes, they look very similar. They're both made out of that type of hard plastic, have the same profile. You'll see the difference of how that rod goes down through, which kind of explains the one in the back, which is the one we're going to clean up, versus the one in the front. Two completely different setups. First thing we're going to want to do is clean up the plane bed. A little bit of surface rust on the sides. Base looks a little bit cleaner than the sides do. Not too bad. Surface rust up towards the front. And this side's about same as the other one, maybe not quite as much rust. So let's get to it, get it cleaned up. Here's the 208 base after I cleaned it up in the deep sink. I also cleaned up the machined iron surfaces. The original grind marks can still be seen in the base. Hard to get them in the video, but they run nice and straight from front to back. Next thing to do is coat it in some oil. I've got a good thick coat of oil put on the base, and the next thing I want to do is clean up the frog. The old frog cleaned up really well. The next piece I'm going to clean up is the lever cap. Any luck at all, it'll come out looking just as good as what the frog did. I've cleaned up the lever cap, the tote, and the knob. They all turned out looking pretty good. There's their backside. I'm going to wipe down the lever cap with some oil and move on to cleaning up the iron. I've cleaned up the iron. It is a Chaplins iron. I thought it was a replacement, but there is a faint marking on it. I've got a razor edge on it, and we'll try to get a look at the marking. You can see it's barely visible, but it is there. Here's the back side of the iron. Cleaned up well. Another look at the front side of the iron. And a close-up look at the cutting edge. This one's ready to go to work. Nice thing about the Chaplin's plane, not a lot of small parts. That's all it's left to do, clean up the smalls. The small parts have been cleaned, and the entire plane, all the parts have been waxed. Everything is done and ready to put back together. There's what the parts look like. Okay, let's put it back together. And there it is, all put back together. Ready to take on a test drive. Not a bad looking old plane. Interesting lateral and depth adjustments. That's the depth adjustment on the bottom, and that's your lateral adjustment there on top. Take a look at her from this side. Let's test it out. Here she is all ready for her first test run. I do have to say that I've used these Chaplin planes before and wasn't impressed with them. The adjustment depth and laterals on the other ones, this is a different setup, and it was very easy to set and achieve some really nice results. Let's see how thin of a shaving I can get. Moving away from the pine, going to a piece of walnut. Not a bad looking old plane. Okay, I've got a piece of 3/4 inch walnut in the vise, and we're going to see how thin the old plane will go. Got some nice shavings. Gotta take one and put it on the micrometer. Straighten this one out a little bit so we can get a better look at it. It is about 0.8 of an inch. Another very good performance. I was pleasantly surprised to see how well this old plane performed. It cleaned up very nice, and it was a real nice plane to use. It's going to make a good top shelf showpiece or a good user either way. I enjoyed doing this one and look forward to seeing you again when we do the next one. Let's take a look at the pile and see what it's going to be. Bye.